Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Cryptologic Hall of Honor Class of 2023 induction ceremony. My name is John Tokar. I'm the Chief of NSA's Center for Cryptologic History. Thank you all for coming. Please stand if able for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the presentation of colors by the Joint Service Color Guard and the singing of the national anthem by Mr. Joseph Rockenbach from NSA's Parkway Chorale.
Stand by. Color. Attention. Port. Arms. Forward. March. Colors. Halt. Present. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Port. Arms. Colors turn. March.
Please be seated. The Cryptologic Hall of Honor is an important part of NSA's History and Heritage program and pays tribute to those who made extraordinarily important contributions to America's national security through cryptology. America has a love of halls of fame. We enjoy taking the best and brightest of a particular group, be they athletes, celebrities, or other professionals, and bring them together and celebrate their accomplishments. However, NSA is a bit different. When the NFL Hall of Fame, for example, inducts their annual class, there are huge crowds that converge on Canton. Lengthy speeches are televised. A great deal of publicity is generated. They even play an entire NFL game in Canton that weekend to mark the occasion. The NFL wants the world to know every detail about the accomplishments of its Hall of Fame inductees. But I often think that if you were able to talk with all the individuals in our Hall of Honor, past and present, and tell them that their photographs and descriptions of their career accomplishments were going to be broadcast and posted on a public website, etc., they would likely tell you, please don't do that. They have this attitude because cryptologists who trumpet their successes usually don't stay successful for very long. In our line of work, one must take more pleasure in keeping a secret than in telling one. It's the fate of our workforce to labor in obscurity, and we like it like that. With that background, then, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce your official host for today's events, General Paul M. Nakasone, Commander, U.S. Cyber Command, Director, National Security Agency, and Chief, Central Security Service. Sir.
So good afternoon. It is truly a pleasure to convene this afternoon to recognize the best of the best. But before we do that, for the color guard, for Joe, for your outstanding rendition of our national anthem, thank you so very much. So thank you for joining us today for the 25th Cryptologic Hall of Honor ceremony. The Hall of Honor is one of my favorite events to host as director, and I'm honored and grateful to be able to officiate it every year at this time. Making today even more special, two current Hall of Honor members were kind enough to join today's ceremony. Dr. Whit Diffie, Mr. George Cotter, thank you for joining us again. Congratulations on your previous awards, and it is wonderful to see both of you. I also want to take a moment to pause and share my condolences to the family of Dr. David Kahn, who passed away on Tuesday, 23 January. I had the privilege of inducting Dr. Kahn into the Cryptologic Hall of Honor 3 years ago. Dr. Kahn was a prolific author of books and articles on cryptologic history. In 1976 or 1967, he published The Codebreakers, the story of secret writing, a comprehensive survey of cryptology, starting from the inception to the emergence and growth of the National Security Agency. In addition to being a prolific author, he was a collector. David amassed more than 2,800 books and 130,000 pages of documented materials on the history of cryptology, including some exceptionally rare materials. He realized the importance of the materials he had collected over the lifetime, and in 2010, while having prominent universities vying for his collection, he followed his heart, firmly believing the collection belonged with the National Cryptologic Museum. Dr. Kahn's personal library is the cornerstone of the museum's collectibles. His work attracted many to pursue careers in cryptology that they otherwise would not have considered. Among those he inspired is our very own Dr. Diffie, who got into the business because of David Kahn and his book, The Codebreakers. Dr. Kahn set the standard for writing about cryptologic history. He will be sorely missed. Today, we induct 5 new cryptologic icons to the Hall of Honor, raising the number of honorees to 111. It is with tremendous respect that I can look around the spaces at any organization at NSA and can see reminders of the innovations and technological advancements achieved by these honorees. The accomplishments of today's 5 inductees were remarkable, pushing the boundaries of what was once thought possible and leaving lasting legacies that endure and contribute to the work we do today. Their contributions and advancement helped our nation through times of competition, conflict, and certainly struggle. We stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, building on their rich legacies to advance our ability to better protect the United States. As we take time to recognize the inductees, we must also recognize the accomplishments of all the people of NSA, who through our 71-year history have served with distinction and dedication on behalf of their fellow citizens. While we honor 5 individuals today, we note the contributions of their coworkers who made their achievements possible. Since the establishment of the agency, our greatest strength and competitive advantage has always been our people. It is they who have made the impossible possible, found solutions to our greatest challenges, and helped inform our nation's leaders in a dangerous and chaotic world. The laurels being granted today are not given lightly. The Hall of Honor is reserved for individuals who have demonstrated extraordinary talent, unyielding dedication, and exceptional perseverance in their field. Their work was unique and of lasting consequence. We will forever remember their contributions and their legacy. Their legacy will inspire us to be better, stronger, and more united in our efforts to defend the nation and our allies. As we induct these 5 remarkable individuals, I also thank the families for being here today and for their contributions and sacrifices. Their support throughout the careers of today's honorees was critical to their achievements in the field of cryptology. They are part of the inductees' legacies and share in their honor. On behalf of the National Security Agency, our Board of Directors, I welcome the following inductees into the Hall of Honor for their brilliant contributions to the cryptologic field. Evelyn Akeley exhibited numerous examples of improvisation during extremely stressful and fast-paced environments. She was a brilliant mind who trained the cohort, which would later go on during World War II to break every Japanese Army code they were provided. By the time she retired in 1958, she was the sixth most senior woman here at NSA. Ms. Akeley was outranked only by other future members of the Hall of Honor: Polly Budenbach, Ann Cara Christie, Juanita Moody, and Julia Ward. Mr. James Lovell, the American Revolution's one-man national security agency, is the nickname William Friedman posthumously gave James Lovell. Lovell, a Revolutionary War veteran, is hailed as the father of American cryptanalysis, playing a critical role in the Battle of Yorktown and helping turn the tide against the British Army for our nation's independence. Major General Joseph O. Mauborgne led the way in numerous fields, from communications technology to cryptology and from cryptologic training. He was the first to share intelligence with the United Kingdom, forging what would become a special and enduring relationship for both our nations. Major General Mauborgne was a pioneer in cryptology and communications technology with great passion and foresight. Per William Friedman, the general was one of the best directors the Signal Corps ever had. James Radford, an innovator who early on saw the potential of outside contractors to help achieve our missions. Mr. Radford convinced NSA's leadership that it was possible to collaborate with contractors securely on sensitive projects and persuade contractors that doing work with NSA was good for business. Mr. Radford also created several devices which enhanced the performance of supercomputers tasked with solving intractable problems. Harry L. Rashbaum, a dedicated linguist and language analyst, Mr. Rashbaum delivered incredible results by improving the quality and understanding of language work. He used computers in developing online working aids to support translation and transcription, in advance for NSA to improve language promotions and incentives awards to boost recruitment and retention. As an example of his influence, Mr. Rashbaum is one of the founders of the Crypto-Linguist Association, with its most prestigious annual award named after him. Over the last 7 decades, more than 313,000 people have worked at the National Security Agency. Of those employees, only 111 have been inducted into the Hall of Honor. That is truly, truly rare air. Their actions safeguarded our nation and secured our future, serving as an inspiration for those who have followed their example. It is an immense distinction across the intelligence community to join our Hall of Honor, and we are incredibly thankful for their service. As an agency and as a country, we would not be the same without their efforts of these exceptional individuals who have now etched their names in history. You should be incredibly proud of your family member who is joining a truly elite group of pioneers and heroes in American cryptology. Thank you.
This time I invite the director and the deputy director to the flag area, please. And Miss Amy Baird and Miss Betsy Adelman, first cousins, twice removed, if I have that correct, of Miss Akeley.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Evelyn Akeley was born in Manhattan in 1907 and excelled at mathematics, music, and sports at Smith College. She earned a master's degree from Columbia University and then joined the mathematics faculty at Skidmore. In 1942, Akeley learned of an opportunity to join the Army's code-breaking effort, the Signal Intelligence Service. She was given a series of textbooks authored by William Friedman and told to develop a 2-month training course for new civilian and military recruits who were set to arrive within days. With a strong background in mathematics but no experience in cryptology, she taught her course in temporary spaces at George Washington University. One of her first students, future NSA Deputy Director Ann Cara Christie, later remarked that Akeley somehow managed to stay one lesson ahead of her students. By August of 42, she and her students moved to Arlington Hall Station. She was named the Director of Training and was soon coping with an even greater influx of new recruits. By early 1943, they were offering the curriculum to an average of 750 pupils per month. Those that graduated became part of an effort that ultimately broke every Japanese Army code they encountered during the war. Succeeded by Frank Rowlett as the Director of Training in late '43, Akeley concluded her wartime service as a working cryptanalyst and the Deputy Chief of Arlington Hall's research effort on new Japanese code systems. She remained with the Army's code-breaking effort after the war as a cryptanalyst for the Army Security Agency, the Armed Forces Security Agency, and eventually the National Security Agency. As General Nakasone said, when she retired in 1958, she was the 6th most senior woman at NSA, outranked only by Polly Budenbach, Ann Care Christie, Juanita Moody, and Julia Ward. Her impressive record of successful improvisation in a fast-paced, high-stress environment reflects one of the finest traditions of American signals intelligence. Ms. Akeley passed away in 1998, and she never had children, but here to accept the honor on her behalf are Ms. Amy Baird and Ms. Betsy Adelman.
Mark, come on in, we'll take a picture. No hurry. That's great. How about just one with family? We'll do that. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for coming. Mark, congratulations. Thanks.
I'd like to invite Ms. Jean O'Connor to the flag area, please. And Barbara Talbot, I'm sorry. Barbara? Of course. James Lovell was once described by the late David Kahn as the father of American cryptanalysis. Born in Boston in 1737, he graduated from Harvard at 19. In 1760, he became an instructor at a local school where his father served as headmaster. Both were still there when the American Revolution broke out, with James being imprisoned by the British after the Battle of Bunker Hill. Exchanged by the British, Lovell was soon elected to the Continental Congress and appointed to its Committee on Foreign Affairs. With Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Jay, he also became a member of the Committee of Secret Correspondence. Self-taught in cryptography and cryptanalysis, Lovell began designing ciphers to protect American communications while simultaneously breaking those used by the British. By 1781, he had broken the cipher used by senior British commanders in America to include Sir Henry Clinton and Lord Charles Cornwallis. General George Washington, while conducting the siege of Yorktown, wrote to Lovell thanking him for data which enabled him to decipher a letter going from Cornwallis to Clinton. This information was sufficient to confirm the dire circumstances of the surrounded British, and a subsequent decrypt enabled Washington to warn his French allies of the approach of a British relief force, enabling the French to position blockading vessels in such a way as to prompt a British withdrawal. After the Battle of Yorktown, with American independence assured, Lovell left Congress in 1782 and returned to Boston. He held a series of other government positions until his death in 1814. As was said, James Lovell was described by William F. Friedman as the Revolution's one-man national security agency. His pioneering work as a code breaker and a code maker gave cryptology a singular role in the emergence of a new nation. He is a landmark figure in the history of American cryptanalysis and cryptography. Here to accept the honor is Miss Jean O'Connor and Miss Barbara Talbot, who are Mr. Lovell's great-great-great-great-granddaughters.
It's good to see you. Okay, how about a family picture? Thank you so much for that.
Good to see you.
Great. All over to you.
And I, yeah, just a few minutes.
Super.
Being short. James Lovell was my great-great-great-grandfather. four times. And more importantly, a Revolutionary War cryptographer called the Continental Congress's one-man national security agency. I first discovered James Lovell in my grandmother's family journal, where I was fascinated to learn that my forebear was a patriot in a family of loyalists. Yeah. James was arrested for spying after Bunker Hill. As a prisoner, he was transported to Halifax, where the British had a garrison, while his parents and sisters went to Halifax as loyalists. After his release, James served in the Continental Congress during the war. This seemed a very interesting story to me, so I traveled to do research, pulling the story of James Lovell out of letters, journals, and newspapers. This was a story that had never been told in detail before. My research led to The Remarkable Cause, a novel of James Lovell and the Crucible of the Revolution, my first historical fiction novel. I have been researching and working on the sequel, Congress's Cryptographer, a novel of James Lovell and the American Revolution, which is nearly ready for publication. Much of my research has focused on his career as our first Foreign Affairs Secretary for 5 years during the war, during which he instructed diplomats in his method of cipher that uses a keyword. This did not always go well, since his written instructions were often too short. However, he was highly talented at deciphering British code and deciphered letters from British generals for Generals Washington and Greene, including a critical one from Cornwallis at Yorktown. He believed that cipher would enable more secure communications and encourage diplomats to use it. I am thankful for this award because it recognizes one of the people in the Revolution who worked hard to ensure the success of the war, despite the difficult circumstances he had to endure. James Lovell used his talents to make his country stronger and communications more secure. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Joseph Mauborgne and Linda Mauborgne to the flag area, please. Major General Joseph O. Mauborgne, United States Army, retired, impacted world events as an inventor, author, cryptologist, scientist, and leader for 38 years, including several first-time communications and cryptologic feats. At Fort Riley, Kansas in 1912, he installed a radio transmitter in an airplane from which Hap Arnold, the future World War II commander of Army Air Forces, sent to him the first air-to-ground radio transmission. In 1919, Mauborgne perfected a one-time pad system. Because of their one-time only usage of randomly selected key, one-time pads are extremely difficult to break, even today. Along with Gilbert Vernon, he is credited as a co-inventor of the one-time pad. As the Army's chief signal officer in the 30s, he recognized that war was coming with Japan, and he reoriented radio collection towards them. During this time, he developed a very close working relationship with William F. Friedman. Friedman later cited him as the best director the Signal Corps ever had. The two men collaborated on many cryptologic patents, and Mauborgne's own patents covered wave meters, antennas, interference reduction, electrical signaling, as well as radio transmissions and reception. Mauborgne also sponsored the mass production of the SCR-270 radar, widely used in World War II. The 270 successfully detected the approaching Japanese Pearl Harbor attack aircraft on December 7, 1941. Tragically, these radar blips were misidentified by a site supervisor as U.S. aircraft and thus dismissed. Finally, Mauborgne's desire for cryptologic sharing made him a trailblazer in formulating two SIGINT partnerships that endure today. He personally authorized the transfer of the purple analog machine in early 1941 to the British. Mauborgne's actions persuaded our allies that the United States was a serious and worthy partner. He also facilitated the creation of Canada's Communications Security Establishment. Canada sought his assistance in 1941, and Mauborgne recommended that they hire Herbert O. Yardley. The strength of the Five Eyes partnership today is a direct result of these actions. Mauborgne was a pioneer in many areas of communications technology and cryptology. His foresight and initiatives facilitated victory in World War II and paved the way for future successes. Mauborgne retired in 1941 and passed away in 1971, and here to accept this honor is his great-grandson, Joseph Mauborgne.
As a retired educator, this is the best field trip I've ever been on. I'd just like to say thank you to General Nakasone for the invitation to be here today and this recognition. It's an honor to pay tribute to all who are being inducted. Thank you also to Mr. John Tokar for tracking us down. I'll never forget that day, the very strange expressions on our secretaries' faces, because who gets calls from the NSA? Thank you also to Commander Cataloglu for your accommodations in making this happen today. If you're not on our call list, you get sent to voicemail because, again, who keeps the NSA on speed dial? And thank you to Ms. Nicole Coppinger and Mr. Jordan Schatz for the information and all my questions. They asked that I not recognize them, but anybody who's been in event planning knows that without people working in the backgrounds, things like this don't happen very smoothly without assistance. So as we listen to the brilliant contributions of all of the inductees, there are some more personal things about Major General Mauborgne. He had an intense interest in the arts and attended the Art Institute in Chicago and another year in New York City. He developed his skills in metalwork, sketching, and watercolor. I was trying to find some of these online to purchase, and they're non-existent. People consider them vintage, and I was able to get a check that he wrote. He also built and played the violin, and one of them won an international competition, so Stradivarius doesn't own the total market. While history will always tell the story of his being the co-inventor of the one-time pad, his cryptological genius, I still wonder if anyone has broken all the codes that he wrote. The radio communication that was mentioned, radar development, there was also that softer side, which makes this giant even more personal. So again, thank you for allowing us to be here today to share in this celebration of all the inductees.
Take one together and then one just you two. Go ahead.
What do we do?
I'd like to invite Gina Madison to the flag area, please.
Oh, well, we need to.
Did you want to bring your mom up as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure. And probably.
Wasn't sure.
Sorry.
Please.
Bring them all up.
When we gave him the picture thing, sorry, we were talking.
That's good.
I apologize. Figures on the story that I developed.
Thank you so much for coming.
Miss Betty Rashbaum, or sorry, Miss Judy Radford is Mr. Radford's spouse. Jim Radford developed special purpose devices, SPDs, that successfully solved otherwise intractable cryptanalytic problems. SPDs are computers that have been custom built to provide specific applications to a particular analytic problem. His innovations for NSA continued over 5 decades, and his successes were built on a solid foundation of computer-based cryptanalysis. In the late 70s, confronted with an analytic situation for which existing support was inadequate, Radford convinced NSA management that it would be possible to work with an outside contractor to solve this problem in a way that would protect NSA's secrets. After convincing leadership, he designed the necessary device and worked with Cray Research Corporation, a major supercomputing firm, persuading them to take a financial risk to build this device. The result was an SPD that produced NSA's desired results, but was an important landmark in NSA's relationships with outside contractors. It convinced NSA that contractors could support the agency's requirements and maintain secrecy, while also showing the contractors that it was good business to work with NSA even on low-volume projects. In the early 1990s, Radford developed SPDs that enabled NSA's resilient support of U.S. forces participating in Operation Desert Storm. Agency leadership credited this development with intelligence production that saved many lives. Later that decade, Radford assembled an interdisciplinary team of experts that produced devices that enhanced the performance of the most powerful supercomputers against special analytic problems. These successes were based on a thorough knowledge of the cryptanalytic problems and a refusal to accept the attitude that SPDs could no longer be successful in the supercomputing age. Mr. Radford assembled teams of first-class talent and led them to give their best. He was an NSA employee from 1958 to 1995. He then worked at IDA from 96 to 2010 and passed away in 2017. Here to accept this honor on Mr. Radford's behalf is his spouse and his daughter, Ms. Gina Madison. Spouse, Judy.
Great. Say a few words?
Yes.
Great. I'll wait for you.
Wow, what an exciting day to come back after retiring myself a few years ago. There's been so many great things they've talked about, different people here, and I feel quite honored to be a person who understands what really my dad did, because I'm a legacy, what they call. And so not only did my dad work here, my uncle worked here, but then on my husband's side, I have 3 brothers-in-laws, 3 sister-in-laws, and niece and nephew who are here too, who have also carried on. It's a family business. If I want to say a few things about my dad, he was very well known for all of his technical accomplishments. And I can't tell you how many people I came across during work and then after retirement that talked about how well respected he was. So I will say that he was very humble. He was very patriotic. He was a great leader and he was an excellent mentor. And I think that a lot of the things that us kids carry are those things to just be prideful in what you do. Things you might not know about my dad is that he built 4 homes. He didn't just build them, he actually built them. Everything, the plumbing, the cabinets, everything about them. So it was very exciting. He decided he would start riding a motorcycle at 71. He didn't stop when he retired. He did do in his younger years, but he started again. He also did, like the person before us, he built a guitar. He took some of my mom's cabinets that they had removed downstairs and he cut the walnut and made the sides, and then he used other wood and he created it. And he was so excited, and then he took lessons online to teach himself how to play it. And unfortunately, it wasn't that great, but it was okay. He was excited. Also, another thing he did was he built a microscope from scratch. But the part that really disturbed him was that he had to order some parts from China. He didn't like that. He couldn't find the parts anywhere else, and that really upset him. I think that I just want to let you know, he was a family man. He was very excited about things he did, but he did not talk about it. And like I said, I'm very excited that I did know what he did. And so this is very, very, I'm very honored that I get to be here and accept that, knowing what he did. And then one thing else I could say is that he was someone, I don't know if you knew this, but he never really moved jobs the whole time he was here. He moved up, but he's worked in the same organization his whole career. And so he moved, and he just believed he could give more. He was a senior and everything, but he believed he could give more by training the younger people and mentoring them and giving them the leadership. Great. So it was very exciting. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take a big Christmas picture. That's great. It's great to have you. It's really nice. Come on in, guys.
Sorry. You go in the back. Okay, more in the back. Megan's in the back.
Megan's tall.
Yep, we're gonna sit
And back.
got your back, John. Yeah.
How you doing down there, Wendy?
You there?
Okay, family photo, please.
Oh.
I'd like to invite Miss Betty Rashbaum to the flag area, please. Harry L. Rashbaum significantly enhanced the impact of language analysis at NSA. He improved the quality of language work and increased the understanding of this critical skill by practitioners as well as agency leadership. As a working linguist himself, he displayed high standards and enabled the use of new technology in what was, in his day, considered an old-fashioned craft. He began his career as a Vietnamese linguist in the Army Security Agency and rose to become the senior Vietnamese linguist at NSA. After the Vietnam War ended, he cross-trained in Arabic and became expert in that language as well. He was deeply committed to accurate translation and worked with those in the field to refine definitions for Vietnamese terminology that could not be found in existing references. He then issued a newsletter to the field to provide the latest findings on vocabulary and military word usage. Rashbaum harnessed the technology of his day to improve language analysis and developed a cassette tape series for individual language instruction, harnessing recording technology to enable analysts to dictate translations. His concentration on vocabulary led him to develop innovations like an online Vietnamese dictionary called Rice Bowl. This proved so effective in improving language work and translation speed that it was soon applied to Spanish and Arabic. Rashbaum demanded the highest standards for linguists and advocated for greater understanding of the role of linguists by those who supervised them. He took every opportunity to remind NSA leadership about the needs of the language field. His advocacy was an important factor in increasing the promotion possibilities for linguists and for incentives to maintain and increase language proficiency. These were critical tools in recruiting and retaining the best minds in the field. Finally, Harry was influential in the diversity, equality, and inclusion program of his time. He was an early advocate of a Holocaust memorial observance and chaired the committee that planned the first official NSA program. He was also one of the founders of the Crypto-Linguistic Association, the agency's professional society for language workers. Its most prestigious annual service award is named in his honor. Harry Rashbaum's accomplishments made NSA a world leader in language work, and his efforts are still felt today. Accepting this honor on behalf of Mr. Rashbaum is his wife, Miss Betty Rashbaum. And you're running? Sherry, okay. Sorry.
On behalf of my mother and our entire family, I would like to thank General Nakasone, the colleagues who nominated my father for this great honor, and the Cryptologic Hall of Honor nominating board. For 42 years, my father was deeply dedicated to the agency's mission and to the talented people who worked with him and for him. In addition to his formidable intellect, my dad was so down-to-earth and approachable, and he always had a smile for everyone and a twinkle in his eye. In 1980, he was asked to run for the presidency of the Crypto-Linguistic Association. When he was told he had won, he asked for a recount. My dad would be so grateful that he has been included among the distinguished recipients of this award. We thank you again for this incredible honor.
Oh, you're just a little?
I would just like to say I forgive him for all the times he wasn't home.
Welcome. Great to have you here. Thank you. Nice to have you here.
Come on inside.
Come on over this way, some other folks. You got Dieter?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Some of the family, please.
Thank you.
So, in closing, the director has appropriately paid great tribute to the accomplishments of our new honorees. And as he said earlier, there are only now 111 inductees in this body, spanning over a century of American cryptologic achievement. William Friedman, who we've heard referenced more than once today, was an inaugural member of the Cryptologic Hall of Honor, and someone who the 5 people honored today can now call peer. On this occasion, we celebrate the fact that, like Friedman, for over 70 years, the men and women of NSA have had an indescribable effect on America's efforts to protect its national security. This concludes the Cryptologic Hall of Honor Class of 23 induction ceremony. Thank you all very much for your attention and for supporting this vital heritage program. Please allow for the departure of the official party, and thank you all.